Well. Welcome to Talking Hawks. I'm sure there is some of you that are needing to have a bit of a chat after that one. I'm Matt here tonight, joined by Lauren. How are you?
Yes, not too bad. I mean, it was a rough watch that last quarter, especially. But I don't know. I guess I wasn't as upset maybe as I thought I would be. I'm more disappointed than I am angry, and it kind of also feels like there's a little bit of weight lifted off because now not every single game for the rest of the year is a must win. Now it's just have a go and see how far we can get.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll get stuck into it. We've got some of our regulars, Lauren, which is good. Hello, Craig, Sam, Shane, Riley, Con. Welcome, everybody else. Drop your thoughts in, your comments, your insights, your questions. We had a game that we travelled to an oval where, we've had some challenges winning there against, well, maybe not. No, I can't do a history here. But, I thought we were a good chance up in Canberra to take it home. I wouldn't have said it's a home ground advantage for the Giants. And for 3/4, we were looking like we were going to get enough done, we're doing enough to get the job done, and didn't quite get there. I thought we started off fairly well after. I mean, the opening by the Giants was pretty strong, opening few minutes, and then we just sort of took a hold, in terms of an arm wrestle. I think we were in the upper position for the next 2.5 quarters.
Yeah, we were, but I never really felt too comfortable. I think it was a lot of scrappy gameplay, and we were still letting a lot of their players, like the Hogans and Whitfields, do what they wanted. And while it wasn't coming off at the end, at some point it was bound to click, and it did in that last quarter.
Yeah, it's the nerves. You were waiting. For me, how often are you seeing our midfield? That's been one of our strong suits all season. Lower the colours like that. Okay, Day was really well blanketed, and we'll get into some of this, but I was just waiting. It's like, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Ready now. Not there. Just signs of, definitely hope. Gunners, there were some really good things, but let's jump into some of these chats. Here we go. A little bit of optimism from Sean here. Let's hope so.
Yeah, they don't look too good at the moment. So, I mean, but they do have 2 Jesse Hogans that are even more athletic than him. So, if he scored 5, are they scoring 5 each? Hopefully we can learn from that.
Yeah. Well, we'll jump into some of these interesting thoughts. The celebration vibe. Yeah, I hadn't put my finger on that, Craig, but you're right. It was a little bit second class by our standards. We've been rocketing with all of the Sallies, and maybe you needed Guinea to kick one of those, kick a few points early on.
Yeah, exactly. No goals from Ginnivan or Watson, who are the main guys in that area. So, yeah, couldn't get any celebrations that were a highlight this week. But yeah, as you said, on to the next week. Hopefully, we get a few more then.
I really hoped that Carlton would get up this week so that they might perhaps drop the guard a little and not be quite as desperate and intentional. But anyway, we'll both be, I think Sam said in the press conference, they'll be licking their wounds. We'll be doing the same. And we've generally bounced back. For me, I have to step back to remove myself from where I'm buoyant on the position we're going to end, seeing finals again. It's like, okay, hold on. How do we respond now? And this is the sign of a good maturing group. And we've done pretty well the next game after a loss. So it's back on the horse, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully, we do see that response from them. I mean, as I've said earlier when I was having a chat to someone else, that it will take probably our best win of the year to beat Carlton, even though we're kind of going in as equal favourites if you're looking at the odds and stuff. But it will take a massive effort for us because Carlton have, since they've come good in the last couple of years, have just been the kryptonite, I guess, to us with those 2 key forwards and with our backline struggling when it goes inside 50.
The two interesting points here, I don't know if they're related, so let's throw it out to the fans. Tom's saying he thinks it might have been a coaching blunder, and Jason straight after was just talking about, matchup wise, there's going to be some important things. Coaching, there's three, the different lines.
Yeah.
Sam going down to the bench is usually a good thing to give him a bit of a, G him up and get a feel for the players where they're at. And we didn't see that lift for mine this time.
No.
Not to point to just that, but it's let's talk about the Hogan matchup, because I think that was a significant one for us.
Yeah, I think Weddle was good on the attack. Like, we saw him go on a few runs today that ended up well for us. But yeah, I thought it was weird that they sent Weddle to him basically the entire game and didn't want to switch it around maybe with Frost, whereas Frost stayed mostly on Cadman, who is definitely the weaker forward there. I thought that might have been reversed, but they wanted to give Weddle the job. And while he looked all right sometimes, just defensively, he's still learning. And it's a lot of those contests where Hogan came over the top and took the mark is an area where you'd like to see him punch that. Frosty definitely would be just spoiling that 20 meters forward, which can sometimes work and sometimes not, but it's better than letting him have a clean run at it. So just a few learnings from there for Weddle, I'm sure. But I thought it was maybe, a little bit of a blunder in the coach's box to keep that matchup on Weddle for the entire game.
Yeah, it's to Shane's point there, usually the man in front gets paid it, and maybe Weddle just has to keep going until, he's in full possession. A couple of little learnings for him here on this one, I think, in this game. The run, like you said, was good through the third, and I'll come back to that later because I had a bit of an observation. I was trying to look at what first half, into that third quarter, into the fourth quarter, where was the differences? But my question was, where's the second man up?
Yeah.
You've got Frost, you've got Scrimshaw, you've got Sicily. Were they that hamstrung by their other opponents that they couldn't get up and challenge when Hogan's going for the mark, knowing that Weddle, he's the hot man?
Yeah.
I have no words. I don't know what went on there, because normally our second up, even Impey, Hardwick, they're all very good at doing that. Amon's probably the exception that doesn't get up, but that's not his role. He's, get the ball out to him and away we go. I'm confused. I don't know what happened there. And not being at the game was hard to judge it for me from TV. Yeah,
Scrimshaw especially, I not sure whose his matchup was. Maybe that second and third gamer whose name I've forgotten right now. But I didn't see him impacting those balls long down the line as much as he normally would, especially if he's not playing man on someone directly, which I don't know if he was really playing super accountable today. So there was a few that just went missing when we needed them. As Sicily, I mean, we know he's got the excuse with the shoulder, but would have liked to see him come over a bit more and help out. But as you said, not as many going up to help Weddle as much as you would have liked to see, for sure.
And off the top of my head, you've got Weddle at probably 6'5", Frosty, Scrimmer, around 6'3", 4. And Sis is only about 6'2", maybe. We don't have that hulking big man, and that's why we rely on this second man up. And I was just like, where is it? I'm waiting. Even that one that Toby Green missed, and it just went sky high, and then Hogan's on the in front of the goal line in the point post. It's like, don't wait for, just kill it, just even the punches at times, even Weddle, and this will be, I think, another learning for him. And it's the young group, again, the lessons, and I try to have rather than just the spotlight and the heat on anybody, it's like, what's the floodlight? What's the perspective here to look, try and take it all in? And yes, that, but also, and I think the punches, he's not killing it at times, Weddle. It's still a live ball at times. Sometimes he's, if I go back to last year or even earlier this year, he was keeping it alive more often, and he's got better as the season's gone on it, going towards the boundary. But there was one or two this game, we're like, that was a bit soft. Come on, just punish it and get it 30 meters out of there. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing that I would have liked to see a lot more. And it was interesting because Weddle had kind of started the first quarter as having a little bit of those issues as well, and it didn't really get corrected too much on throughout the game. So yeah, maybe something for Cade Simpson to look at. But yeah,
I think so. And good point here, Tom. Yep, Sis, maybe he's still protecting that arm a little bit. Maybe he's playing a certain role to roll and be that outlet that gives us really good meters gained off his boot. There was a comment back there around maybe throw Deer back. I don't know about that one right now, but I hear what you're saying in terms of height. Sometimes we throw Daisy down there and he ends up, and we did a little, he'll be that intercept because he's got that height and judgment. I don't know.
Yeah, I maybe would have liked to see a bit of Daisy down back today to try and get him to escape that, strong tag that Bedford put onto him. So it's interesting. Yeah, they could have brought, someone more onto the ball like a Connor McDonald or something like that and just moved him either forward or back. But speaking of Cal Shadir, I think it was an interesting decision to sub him off, which maybe I wonder if the coach's box regrets that, because we went down the line a lot in that last quarter and Bruce just couldn't compete, which a lot of the balls inside 50 weren't, to his advantage at all. But Jack Buckley took quite a few of those intercept marks in that last quarter. And Kalsha is really good at bringing those to the ground. So, I'm not sure if that was
all
right
season. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, I was saying I'm just not sure if that was the right move in the end.
Yeah, and we've seen Chol and Deer do a really good job at competing and bringing the ball to ground.
Yeah.
It wasn't coming in as high for, when there's only one of them flying, when it's only Chol, the Gunners isn't flying these days. So, and then the Mosquito fleet wasn't there today. After the first half, there was more forward pressure. Third quarter, it started to drop off. Fourth quarter, it's not the game brand that we've seen from that small forward unit.
No, really none of them got off the chain today. And even into the third quarter when we were those 20, 25, 28 points up, I was like, wow, our small forwards really haven't got too involved today. I mean, Moore's done a few good things, but he always does. But a lot of them were having a quiet day, which is probably a key to getting us beat.
Yeah. I didn't think about this aspect. Perhaps there's a bit of management. And I thought, well, look, Gunners had 3 weeks off, comes in, kicks a goal a quarter, pretty handy. I'll pop that in the group chat. It's like, hey, we've got contract negotiations coming up again. Just remember me, sort of thing. And I know we do value him. So, I mean, not about that right now, but maybe there's a bit of management and Gunners maybe benefited from having a few weeks off. We've got the luxury now a little bit, but maybe was Brewsty. What would you have done different? And to the fans, would you have brought Deer off when you did? Or what would your move have been in hindsight? Easier said than done. But have you got any other thoughts, Lauren, on who you might have made the move with and when?
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe throwing Sicily or Hardwick down forward, maybe even moving Weddle down forward and letting Frost have his time on Hogan earlier in the game. Now, you saw in that last, 1 minute when we had to score the goal to try and win, we kicked it forward when we looked pretty close, but they sent Hardwick, Sicily, and Weddle all down forward in that last 1 minute to go, which is all good and well, but maybe something we could have done, when we were, when they had kicked 2 or 3 goals in a row. That's when the game was already basically lost. You knew they were coming and we needed to, make a change then. We couldn't wait for them to get in front because there was only a minute left and we couldn't, just not enough time.
I'm not going to be able to keep up with these comments. If you can watch them at the bottom, I'm still a little way back here. If there's anything good, sing out. But I do know, who was it? Bringing it up here. I'll find it later. The Toby Green, look, for the first part, good, well held. As the game went on, he started to show his influence, and they just run the gauntlet in that fourth quarter. Before we get into that, what were some highlights? Because I saw a few things, and maybe I'll, without notice here, I'll rattle off a few. I was thinking, give you a chance to think of anything. But Nashi in the second quarter, I was watching with my son, and he's just like, "Who is that?" Nashi in the pocket. he's kicked it across his body, and it was quite a beautiful pass into C-Mac. I think he might have missed after that, but Nash skills are like, oh, we don't normally see that sweeping, foot across the body, and it was a lovely kick. We were looking to attack more in that first. Well, it was the first 3 quarters. Newcomb, I don't have to start you on Newcomb, but geez, he was having a red hot crack. And if we, I don't know what the season averages are for Nash, Warple, and Day. I reckon it's been a long time since our clearance work has been unders for those 3, with only one of them sort of firing. And well done to you, Nuke. We love Nuke, Talking Hawks. We sponsor him. Get on board if you're not. TalkingHawks.com. But it's a shame that I just don't know how we didn't somehow flex. One of them, you think surely, 2 of them are going to fire. Give a block. Do more. Like what's Makey was doing his work, but Mitchell said after the game, I think I haven't double checked, but Meek was maybe 20 odd hit outs to advantage at a point, and the clearances were equal. And so that's just, I don't know what happened in the midfield. Maybe you thrown Morey in there at an earlier point. You're trying to throw Weddle, like you said, make some changes. Do you chuck a Carl Amon in there? Do you chuck a Weddle in there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we did have a bit of that midfield domination for quite a while, whether it was the end of that first quarter into that second quarter where we had just like 10 in a row and they hadn't gotten one centre clearance yet. But that was a really good period where we looked great. But yeah, it's kind of been like this for a while now where where if our side gets beaten in the midfield, that can really stifle our momentum and switch it to the opposition. And I think if we're still, it's unfortunate that we lost that because Newcomb, had about 10 clearances, something even more than that maybe in the end. 11.
Yep.
11, yeah. So just complete standout on everyone. We needed, with Day being well covered, we needed someone to stand up, and Newcomb did do that, but he probably needed one other to really go with him. Warple and Nash had some good periods, but we probably need another one to put his head above the water.
Yeah, unusual. Here's the number. So Newcomb 11 clearances, so 7 centre clearances. Warple 3 clearances for the day. Nash 3 for the day. Day 2 for the match. It's just not the characteristics, not our DNA. It's not what our midfield do. So if I'm Carlton, I'm a little bit worried about that, but Carlton will probably look to also what was done to have that sort of a blanketing effect on our midfield. So the one little thing on Nuke, Toby Green tackling him over the boundary line. I think it was in the second quarter. Nuke's got to have that cool because Toby, silent assassin, just cool and calm, just runs off. Nuke roughed him up back. He got in Nuke's head. Nuke, you're better than that. And so it set the standard and showed the rest of the boys you were targeted because you were firing. So love it.
Kind of saw the same thing with Sicily when he gave away that 50-metre penalty as well. That was super frustrating where you just didn't need to do it. It was silly and it helped their momentum massively. Yeah.
Let me just go through some of these comments because I've got a few questions and a few thoughts. But Nick's thinking didn't get the ball deep enough in the last.
Oh, yes. I 100% agree. That was completely doing my head in. Even some of our best kicks like Amon Amon was the one who figured it out by launching it over the top. And I can't remember who got that. I think it was Bruce, who got that goal when he Amon launched it deeper into our forward line. But for about 4 or 5 entries, we just, launch it straight onto just inside the 50-metre arc. And as soon as it would get turned over, there'd be 0 forward pressure. And it'd just go straight forward where we'd have absolutely no answers for them. And, no matter who was on, Hogan or Toby Green, there was nothing we could do about it because they just had all the run. So, that was really frustrating that we did that about, 4 or 5 times in a row in that last quarter.
Yeah. Troy, we will try and do the talking for you, mate. Thanks for joining us. it is. It's. Look, we'll probably get to this, and we'll probably try and save some of this towards the end of the chat around next week. But I like this from Craig. Absolutely big picture. You're my man. It's. That said, I was really interested to see, because we beat them by a goal and we run over them last time. So I was expecting more this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought if we could, if that third quarter finished and that was the end of the game, that would have been a nice little improvement on what we did last time. But it's a little annoying or frustrating to think maybe you've gone backwards, but maybe we've gone forward, just not as much as GWS has gone forward, especially compared to being in Launceston to Canberra.
Yeah. There's a lot of chat here. You might be right there, Paul. A lot of chat here about Wardy. Hard not seeing it at the game. I like to be able to. He runs so hard and he does so much off camera. It is, in my opinion, hard to tell at times. It's not always about possessions. What he can do is create space, and he can make the opposition have to follow him and spread. And so it's not always about the amount of ball that Wardy gets. And I think I didn't see him sort of taking a backward step or being light on today. But I can't say that I know this was his role either.
I thought he wasn't as good as he was last week. I think that's where the big comparison was, because he did play probably his best game for the year. Last week. And so when he showed up today, just didn't give the same output, unfortunately. But it will. I'm not sure what they'll do. Maybe I would think he probably goes back to Box Seal and gives some of those boys who have been, clawing at the doors to get into that AFL side, which I think is a positive in the end to see some new guys getting in. I think Mackenzie has been a bit stiff to miss out on in the last few weeks. So, but just unfortunately Ward just couldn't get up to his best today. And I think he had quite a bit of time on ball because they were trying to move Daisy around for a little bit, and he just looked a little bit too slow, not necessarily in speed, but in how he thinks and where he's going to kick to.
Yeah, I think that's a good. You're shining light on a good thing there. It's that game speed, decision making. I think sometimes you might overthink a little. But trust the instinct. More. If I'd like to see him try, but maybe it's his role, and he's had to work really hard to get back in. So I'm glad he's had a couple of weeks in.
Yeah.
He may not continue next week. We'll see. As you said, there's a lot banging on the door. So. Comments on Day, Massimo Beauty. I think Mass definitely he faded a little, but for the first quarter, and he was involved in the second and third. It's that fourth quarter. I mean, right in the last minutes, I just saw Jars Impey could hardly run. Like, maybe the boys were running that hard. It really did catch up.
There was a few exhausted bodies in those last 10 minutes, like seeing, just a few blokes kind of pull up a bit short on chases and stuff because they were just completely cooked in hands on knees type of stuff. So, it really looked tricky. But I thought, as the comment said, Massimo had a really good game, being super, super consistent, and a great pickup. Yeah.
A few comments about Hogan. He's the leading goal kicker. And he's come back in. I think it was shown on Foxtel, that in the last 4 weeks since he'd come back in, he'd kicked 4 or 5 goals every single week. So 5 weeks in a row of kicking 4 or 5 goals. The boy's on fire at the moment. So it was a grown man today doing what he does. And so I did actually go back and have a look, and not having a pot shot at Cozzy here, but just a comparison, the number of games that Coz played last year compared to this year, and Cholly, because essentially that was who we got in to start to do the role. Cozzy's kicked, I think it was 11 goals this year. He maybe kicked 9 or 10 last, and due to number of games played by both of them, but Chol was, I think he was 8. I'm going to have to dig it out, but he's kicked 31 now. So He's played 17, 18 games now. Cholly, I think it is 18. So good effort by Cholly. He was still competing all day, which I liked.
Yeah, he was. He was.
The chase, when I might have said the forward chase wasn't there, he kept going. Wiz was in it really well in the first half. He was active, and I thought he was going to have a really hot game, but wasn't quite there for mine in the second half. What do you make of Wiz in the second half?
Yeah, just a little bit quiet. I think that role can have those periods where you're going to have one quarter, half a game, or an entire game just completely out of it. I think not, as you said, he did a good job to keep in it for the second half. The first half.
Yeah.
So I think, it's just going to be tricky for him when we're probably going against the tide to get involved in those games. But he just needs to keep putting those pressure acts on and laying some tackles and stuff, and he'll get into games a lot more easier then.
Yeah. So on the forwards, here's a few questions. I'm still playing catch up here, but questions about maybe is Deer due for a week to have a break?
I don't know. I'm not really for it, just because our forward line will be pretty tiny, and I think even if Dew doesn't kick a goal, he's superbly good at bringing the ball to ground, even better than someone like Mitch Lewis has done in the past. So, and he can take a mark coming up the wing as well, which we have a few. We don't really have that many. Now, I've seen a few games of Jasper Scaife at VFL, and he looks pretty good now. Maybe, we do give him the 1 week off and we give Jasper a go, because he has been, slotting bags nearly every week, or 4 or 5 goals. Maybe we do give him a go, but I do really like what Deer brings to this side, even if he's not kicking goals.
Yeah. It's an interesting one because he brings the ball down so well, and then he chases well. So if he's not taking marks, which probably I think Scaife's going to be a stronger mark at the level, you're going to have a different sort of key forward to focus on. And does that free Cholly up from any ruck duties and Weddle up if Scaife comes in? I don't know if he'll play ruck if he comes in.
I like Cholly in the ruck, so hopefully not. I think he competes well in the ruck most of the time for that brief stint. But I don't know, maybe bringing Scaife in, gives kind of a new look to this forward line that's a little unpredictable to a team like Carlton, whose defence is already somewhat weak, especially over the past couple of weeks. So it'll be interesting, but I'm all for it to bring in some kids now. As I said, that game, if we won that, we were pretty much guaranteed to make the 8, but now it's not looking likely. We will need GWS to lose every game for the rest of the year, unless there's some crazy results, and definitely to win next week. So it'll be interesting. But if we want to give the kids a run now, I think kids like Scaife and those who have been doing really well at Boxall, I think now's as good a time as any.
Yeah, I think we're still playing. We're playing to win, so I think we're not going to experiment just yet. If we lose next week, absolutely go your hardest, your blood as much as we can. Is my view. I had this little sneaking feeling that we're going to probably drop one of either this or Carlton, but I was confident going into this one just before the game, and then we just whoever was at the start that said the celebrations and that energy. There's a bit of dancing going on in the change rooms before the game. I was like, okay, good, here we go. But we didn't quite see it on the grass where we needed to. So it's interesting with some of these other results too. What Bombers, and Freo, and it's still really open. So look, I hate it that we're not in control of our own destiny here. But
that's really the worst part. Like, you want to get into finals based on your performances alone, and if you get in there by some team dropping a game to a West Coast or a North Melbourne or something like that, then you probably don't feel as good about it. And if we do end up finishing 9th and the first team probably ever in history to get those, 13, 14 wins and not make the 8, well, that'll light that hunger in us for next year for sure. And next year really is when we may be having a shot at that top 4, top 6, potentially prelim final type of areas. So if we want to be hungry for any year, hopefully it's next year.
Yeah. I'm going to try and get towards the end of the game here, and perhaps what we could have done or should have done from some of the fan comments. Some of you got in super early, so I'm going to forgive me for not coming back to those. Third quarter, I had to watch the game in 2 halves. I came back and I actually knew the result. And I was like, what have we done different? The third quarter, not as Weddle really backing himself in and trying to take ground. And that's when he had a few runs. And he did kick that goal. I can't remember which quarter that was, which was nice after a good run.
Yeah.
But the kicking in when we didn't have the forwards up and about and crumbing the way we do. I know Brewster came on and he crumbed one, but we switched back from Weddle and perhaps the long kicking back to the move it forward by hand. And I think we looked so much better. And that was sort of towards that tail end of the third quarter. And they got it in, they chased the lead down a little bit and then we got it back out. And I think it looked to me like that was one thing that was a good contributor, just moving the ball by hand again. It's something we've done really well in recent weeks. So because we move it so fast, once we turn the ball, cause the opposition to turn the ball over, the taps, the backward handballs, some of the backward handballs didn't come off as well today as they have in other weeks. But we had a lead. Toby started to flex a little, it was just, for me, that was one of those really important things. Like I wondered whether the voice was dropping a bit going into, third and maybe into that fourth quarter, like the instruction between them. But did you have any thoughts through that, or will I move right on to this last quarter?
Well, yeah, I think that's probably where all our discussion, our main discussion. So let's head over to the last 30 minutes.
All right, Russell gets to a lot of games, I know. Big supporter of Talking Hawks. Thank you, Russell. It's moving it quickly was a key for mine. We had to get the hands on the ball, didn't we, as well? Oh, sorry, Nick, that was a good call. Maybe that was why I was a little bit off. Did we put the cue in the rack too early? A few of you have said this. I think our setup was good earlier in the game. In that last quarter, again, hard to tell not being at the ground for mine. For those that might have been at the ground, tell us if you were seeing certain things right at the end there. But what were your thoughts in the last? Because I'm going to scan through here for some other fan comments that relate to that.
I think, we saw again that they pulled back a little bit earlier than what you would have liked. But even from that first bounce, it's not like, we didn't get enough of the ball to really show how much we were kind of stifling our own game style. But we just, that as soon as the bounce of that last quarter went, you could see GWS were really locked into that area of the ground where they'd been struggling all day, and they got the first centre clearance and looked really good from then. And as soon as they were running on top of us in most areas of the ground, you could kind of see that where it was going. I've not, watched enough footy in my life to see when you're only a couple of goals down and a team's got a massive run on that. It's pretty hard to stop it in with such little time left. So it was unfortunate, definitely in the end. And I thought we might have seen a bit more aggression, a bit more energy in that last quarter. But we looked really cooked. We just looked so tired. And I know people have discussed been traveling a bit recently. Also had 1 or 2 days less day breaks than our oppositions. So there's been a few things to go against us. Not saying that they're excuses in any way, but we just look tired, and hopefully we can reset this week and go again and have a nice review of that.
I think Brent Daniel gave him a really good burst in the start of the fourth quarter, and that got them going. And Toby, I think, a bit of time in the midfield. He got that first goal in the fourth. What else was there?
Brent Daniels was the one. They how we've in the past moved someone to a new area of the ground, and that's really sparked us as a side. They did the exact same thing straight back to us, and you can see why it's so tricky, because we just didn't have the answer, because we were obviously did not prepare for it going in. But I think Whitfield's another one who for the last 6 weeks especially has just 35 plus disposals every single game, 90% plus disposal efficiency, 10 score involvement specifically today. They only scored those 12 goals. Now, and some Hawthorn supporters said, oh, it doesn't matter, he didn't really play well. Well, he did. If they didn't have Whitfield, it'd be a completely different story. It's like if we didn't have Amon and Massimo combined, like his ability to find little holes in their in our defense to find one of his players, which just was very good. Even if it didn't work, sometimes at some point it would have to start connecting, and it did in that last quarter. So we would have been nice to see maybe McGuinness line up on him. I thought McGuinness had the chance to. I did like the role Gunston played on Taylor again. We did reduce his impact, but
and that's an example of good coaching. To the point earlier where we outcoached or whatever, there were some really good things that we did do in I think that sort of a move. And then he's not just taking away from theirs, but he also was getting some goals too. That's really significant.
Yeah, exactly. So there was a few things that went our way, but it just you knew going in that Hogan and Whitfield were the two that you have to keep down, and both of them had very good games. Both probably Pauline Brownlow votes, you'd think.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, both very good. Is to these points around coaching and practicing the icing a game, trying to hold it. Thanks, Alex. When we're winning by 66 points and 66 points, I know that game simulated scenarios. Maybe this is something. It wouldn't surprise me if that's something Sam Mitchell comes out and says, we need to practice that. We haven't done as much of that as we might need to. What does that look like in a run and gun game? What's our change back down to third gear here when we're not trying to move it at breakneck speeds? I don't know that I can put my finger on it right now. Has anybody else observed what you think that might look like? Because I'm not sure.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be still looking to go down that like middle corridor of the ground, because that's how we see some of our best game, and continuing to handball it off and trying not to bomb it long to the top of the 50-meter arc, which we did in that last. So I think, but honestly, it didn't look as bad as it did to me when we played Port. I mean, it was a bigger margin, so it couldn't have been as bad, but I think we just looked really exhausted, and they had all the energy coming in. So it wasn't as bad as it was in that Port game.
It was in that fourth quarter. Weddle didn't do one of those punches, didn't kill it. Build forward just in front. There's a goal over the head there. I think I was wondering about the talk in the fourth quarter. Sicily got absolutely barreled because he got a hospital ball. Why are people not talking to him, around him? Like, if you're under the pump and you have to get one out and set up someone with a hospital ball, you've got a voice at that point if you've delivered it. But those around him, why aren't you talking to your captain or any player? Okay, we were pushing, and that was when we were on the forward 50. Hoping for. I liked that move. They did try to put Hardwick and Sis forward, just that one last roll of the dice. We didn't quite get there,
and Nelly works. Nelly,
a few good calls by people here. The height, just having Barras and perhaps a battle here. Calls for Ethan Phillips from Box Hill. I think he's been playing pretty well. A little few injuries this season as he's sort of come in at the beginning of the season, the last minute sort of addition. Once we gone blank. Who did we lose? Blank. I've gone blank on blank. So it's who knows. I would love to see one of those players or both actually, Battle and Barras, come in. Somebody's talking about who was it, Jason here. Not sure about the back problems there with Barras.
Well, he did a couple of years ago. Seems to have gotten over them now, thankfully. I mean, Gunston also had the same thing, so and he seems to be okay now. But yeah, it'll be very, very helpful. This game showed how helpful it will be to get Barras, and the reporters are talking about how it's also possible that we can get Barras and Battle, which will do wonders for this back line.
Yeah. Well, and compliment aside, Chris, but yeah, when it's that close and then you have a tall defender that you can bring in that's holding their own, that's the game. We seal the game. Hogan doesn't get one of those marks, and because you've got that extra strength and length to spoil. Who knows? It is a game of inches sometimes. This crazy game that we love, AFL. Some buoyancy here. Thinking we'll smash the Blues. I like it. Chris Moss had one. Let me go back to it. Struggling here, but Frio's got a really stiff run, was what he was saying. Chris, thank you. So another good supporter of Talking Hawks. The ability to, I guess, we have to just run the gauntlet now ourselves. We have to go as hard as we possibly can, don't we?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's nothing to lose now. As I said, the way our finals chance gets kept alive is, we've got to beat Carlton for sure, and then nice, comfortable wins against Richmond and North. So I'm thinking, that 40-point plus area, and making sure their score stays to the minimum. But what the importance of today's game was that GWS and us are really kind of fighting for that last spot. There's a few that are also could fall down if they don't get in, but mainly, it was kind of that 8-point game for us today. But now GWS still have that really tricky run, including Brisbane, Freo, and the Doggies, who are those three most informed sides at the moment. So if they lose all of them and we beat Carlton, hopefully we can slip our way in. But you don't really like relying on other people's results to get into the 8, do you? That's not necessarily the Hawthorn way.
No, sorry, I was trying to get you con here. It's good mate Shad, who helped doing a lot with getting Talking Hawks set up at the start, Carlton supporter. Shad was saying we just don't have a ruckman. To at the moment, we had a ruckman today, but our midfield didn't get it done. So who knows what teams are going to turn up next week? I think, to your point here, Con, massive improvement from last year to this year. Absolutely coming.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to be anywhere else if you were a player, I think, in the AFL. If you're not going to be in finals, you wouldn't want to be in any other team right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah. I think like nearly doubling our number of wins from last year. Like even if we even if we lose to Carlton and hopefully win those last two against the bottom sides, we'll get 13 wins, which is back off the 7 last year, is a massive, massive improvement. And that's what we'll be looking at by the end of this season, regardless of what happens, is how we've improved over the last few years. So, it should be very exciting for next year for sure.
A few comments here just around, just sort of running out of the old petrol tickets at the end of the game here. Maybe it was, again, without seeing it, I'd love to know the GPS, the trackers, and maybe I'll entertain myself after this and have a little bit of a look and see what I can understand from the game. But I think we did lack a little bit of zip that we're used to seeing. There's definitely hope for us next week. I think there's all 3 lines, forwards, mids, backs, I got a point to prove. I think they all let each other down a little bit today at times. And there's others, thank you, Riley, that the Blues are having to compensate for. I've gone blank on his name. Who's the one of the twins there, ruckman, that...
De Koning, yeah.
Moaning, it's
Yeah.
we have an opportunity to really try and go for it. And if we really want it, we're going to see what our team's made of right now this week. This is going to be a really big, this 24 hours, the reset button, hit it hard, please. Very hard. And I look forward to hopefully Timmy gets down there this week and sees some track talk and what's going on. Oh, geez, that's a big call here, Jay. I don't know. I don't think we need that right now. As much as Reva's, got time for him. I just don't think with the rule adjustment that he's quite adjusted and the speed we go. Think about how fast and how much ground Meek covers compared to Reeves. It's a very different looking Hawthorn midfield. Okay, you can chop out, but both kick goals. Meeky uncharacteristically today was 3 points. Normally he's going to kick you a goal or two if he's got 3 shots on goal. So again, that's the game right there. But
it looked slightly a little bit breezy, a little bit gusty down there. So I don't know. I'm not sure if that helped him. But no, I don't think we need Reeves in this side, especially not with Meek as well. If Meek is fit, because we saw how stunted or slow we looked in that last quarter. That's not going to be helped by bringing in 210 centimetre Ned Reeves, that's for sure.
I think. Hold on, I'm going to jump into too many comments here. I don't have the context for you there, Dalton, to be doing that justice. I think there was a few. You can't point it at anyone today, Paul. I think thoughts on. I just touched on it. All lines we had players probably. They would say in the mirror that wasn't the games that they've been playing or they want to play right now. So you do just sort of hit that reset button, as I said. Well, I think just as we perhaps start to draw this to a close then, there's some questions here around Box Hill. I know Scave kicked a few. I haven't got across it this week, but I think it was, again, Morrison or was it Mackenzie? Mackenzie and McGuinness, I think, had best on grounds was something I saw.
I believe so. Couldn't catch the majority of it just because it kind of did clash with the Hawthorn game in the end, but we did get the 1 point win. So we were about similar to, I think it was the very same scoreline at 3/4 time in the VFL as it was at 3/4 time in the AFL, and we came away with the 1 point win after stopping a late. We were able to stop the late charge from GWS in the VFL, thankfully. So we got 1 out of the 2. But, so they look hopefully set to make the finals now, sitting in 4th spot. They do have a very tricky test in their final game, which is in 2 weeks' time against Werribee, who sit very clearly at the top of the table. But we saw what happened with Sydney. Any team at the top of the table can, start having a bad patch. So we'll see how we go. But as we said, we saw McGuinness and Mackenzie were the 2 stars, as well as Scaife kicking 4 goals.
Yeah, I think if you haven't caught it on your favourite podcast platform, check out the latest interview Tim did with Zane Littlejohn, Box Hill senior coach, AFL Hawks development coach. Some really good insights around this young group and what he's doing with them and how he keeps them up. And, that number of AFL listed players, keeping them motivated and knocking at the door. So it's games like this. We might see some personnel movement, in terms of who's named for next week, because there has been a really good body of work by a number of those boys at the Box Hill level. So I don't know how much you want to tinker it going into finals. We trust I'm happy to let the brains trust of the coaches and the selection committee earn their money. So
hopefully they're taking it 1 week at a time, because as supporters, that's probably what we should be doing too. Because if you look at the rest of the league, there's absolutely no guarantees for who's winning each week. So, and I don't think we should be necessarily just writing off of the North and Richmond games as wins. That we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. So it's just going to be 3 weeks that is going to take, got to probably go really quick, and we'll see how we end up at the end of those the end of September or end of August. Sorry.
Yeah, interesting reading these comments. Just threads of just a bit of maybe some players a bit injured, a bit tired. Some suggestions for change. It'll be interesting. I feel for Finn McGuinness because he has a totally different role when he comes into the AFL team.
Yes. Yeah.
Without going on that tangent too much here, there's a few of them that play on the ball at Box Hill, and clearly they're very good at the level. And then when they come back in, they're asked to do a very different role. So interesting to see. Drop it in the comments. How many changes do you think you would like to see from this team? Name the players if you want, but going into next round against the Blues, you can think about the personnel, and I didn't highlight them earlier, but the tall timber of their forwards. Laura and I were talking about that before before we came on live. There's that challenge there ahead of us. What do you think we're going to see? But Lars, what were your thoughts on that matchup? Is it time for Easy Phillips to come in? Does he get the Guernsey?
Yeah, I don't know. Him, Sarong, there's a few chances for people there.
Sarong, lighter frame though. They're some hulking forwards, and
yeah, for sure.
You have to be strong in the air too. Or if we don't have a second man up, I don't know how we're winning that one next week.
Exactly. We know what they can do if they get on a run like that. We saw Hogan's kick 5. Kerno, Mackay are just as good, even better on their day. So, we just want to limit their influence. We know they're probably going to hit the scoreboard at some point, but if we can just reduce that to, just a couple and not, 5 or 6, that'll go a long way. But yeah, as you said, we need to completely restructure, I guess, from this game specifically into next week, because we did not see that second man up or even third man up come across, and we need to start seeing a little bit of spoiling more from Weds, just so we can maybe I know he's going to take probably mark of the year at some point, but maybe not in the back line. We'll save that for a little bit.
I like this, Tom. Thank you, because I'm like, Sarong's a bit slighter frame for this, but yes, you could be totally right. I wasn't thinking of that at all. So that might actually free Waddle up to give us more of the run and the dash and the crumb. Yeah. It's pretty clean below his feet, Weds. So, yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, we'll leave it up to the selection committee, but they will, as per usual, they'll have a tricky job. But I do expect to see a couple of changes for this week. I think that's what's only fair. We had kept the same kind of group of guys together for a while, and there was a few guys maybe going up and down in terms of their performance. But now that we've lost, it gives us, Sammy and the selection committee free rein to drop a few players that maybe might need a rest.
Yeah. Well, parting thoughts with yourself in a moment, but Sam did say in the presser just that time in the back half was a challenge for us. So would not surprise me if that's the sort of thing. And that's finals footy. That's pressure footy. Would not surprise me at all if we start seeing that in this next little window prior to finals, for the team simulating some of that to see how we can do it. Match simulation down by, less than a goal. What are you going to do? And it's coming in hot. How do you do it? How do you talk? And you've got to do that at the end of a training session with exhaustion. When the pressure's on, decision-making, all of that, can you keep the energy up? Can you do it? So it'll be interesting to see if we get some of that. Before we jump, Hutchie put it out there, Craig Hutchison, with his Sporting Nation, I believe it was, just a call for perhaps a big game in Carlton and Hawthorn. So if you'd love maybe Daz or Timmy, I'm happy to roll the dice, but a bit of a radio call with Andy Marr. We'll call the Hawks side of it, and it could be absolutely cracking. You get the green energy. I will bring it. If it's not on the pitch, get it from me. I tell you, in the calling box. I know Daz would absolutely bring it, and Tim would absolutely love it. So if you want to do us a favour, you can maybe hit up Hutchie and on Twitter. let him know you think the Talking Hawks team, or Loz, I don't know if you're up for it, but no pressure, but tag a Talking Hawk, I say, if you want to see some of us put the hand up. So it's all in front of us. We've got to make it all count from here on. So Loz, parting thoughts, just before we do. If you haven't followed us on the various socials, please do. If you like our podcast, give us a 5-star rating and give us a nice little review. Let us know your thoughts or ideas. Would love to hear from any of you. I don't know that we'll say this, but Paul, I know Daz would love hearing that. It doesn't mean Hutchie's going to be in there with him. Andy Marr. and married to the #1 ticket holder for Hawthorn as well. It's a very strong footy family, that one, with Emma Race. So who knows if that will come off, but we would love to, as AFL media. Fortunate the club's backed us in this year that we've been able to step up to that plate. So, yeah, it would be a lovely thing to get in debut on some AFL radio. So,
would love to see someone on there. But I think parting words is just, I've kind of felt, as I said, didn't feel too angry about the loss, especially not as upset as I was against in the Port one. Just kind of felt maybe a bit more relief that now, not every single week is this do or die kind of clash. Now we can just go out there, throw everything at the wall and just see if we can get it done. And if we can't, well, we move on to next year. And if we can, even better. So I think, just all, some support offered to the rest of the Hawthorn supporters who might be feeling a bit upset. Is just, let's see how we go for the rest of the year. Have fun with it because, we've had a really good season, especially at the end, towards the end of this season. So, if we can get a few more wins, that's a lot more than we were getting last year. So, drop
your prediction and the margin as we finish it off. I would feel a little bit ripped off if we didn't make finals. I just think how far we've come this season. We deserve at least one finals match. I'm not saying we're going to make Timmy's talking us up to get to the granny. Maybe we'll need to hear from Tim on 6 points. We'll see. So tune into that when that drops. But Loz, what's your prediction for next week? A long way out, a week out. It's a long time in footy, but who you got? How much?
Yeah. Or I would say I'm going to be maybe a little realistic and say Carlton by 9 points. If we can keep it within that close kind of area and not have a 40-point lead and blow it towards the end, then I'll be reasonably happy. And let's hope. I saw a few comments saying hoping for some rain. I don't know if it's looking likely at the moment, but we can pray to whoever the rain god you believe in is and see if we can get some of that over to the MCG, because I think it will help us a lot. But wait and see. Just I think it'll be a big game, big crowd. I would assume maybe 70, 65 plus.
Don't mind the rain call. Yeah.
Yeah, finals like atmosphere probably at the MCG with both seasons kind of on the line.
Yes.
So
100%. Get there if you are a Hawks fan. Make a lot of noise. It doesn't matter if it's rain. Bring your poncho. Get down there. Let's have a bigger crowd than Carlton Collingwood. Let's flex the muscle. I've got the Hawks by 14 points next week because I think we're absolutely going to bring everything we've got to throw at them. So thanks everyone for joining us. Loz, you were a star. Thank you very much.
Thanks
after a loss, it's not always easy to jump on, but we take a look and we're happy to hear all your questions. So until we catch you again next week, go the Hawks.
See ya.